Hi there, Cheryl here. You know what? Today we're going to talk about one tip, I call it a secret even, to help you next level what's important to you. In other words, how can you do something and make progress towards being world class at what's important to you? And before we get into it, there's something that you should know. And I wish I would have known this kind of from the get-go. A lot of times things are hard. And you know, I was never told as a young person that maybe school was going to be hard, or having family was going to be hard, or being married was going to be hard, or scaling a business, or giving back to the community. I was never told it was going to be hard, and I just had to find out, and it was a little bit of a rude awakening. And as rewarding as all of these amazing things are that we're doing, either being a parent or in our career or giving back to our community, it's important that we understand that sometimes it's going to be hard. And if you understand that and you're at peace with it, then you're so far ahead of the rest. So that is my first message. And the first, it's really a secret, or not even a secret, but to raise your level of awareness to being able to next level what's important to you, and that is just understanding that it's going to be hard. Consider this: world-class performers, at least the ones that I have had the pleasure of working with, and people that have been truly world-class performers, or I also consider world-class performers people like you and me, people that have made significant progress in things that are important to them. They have really powered through some things that are difficult. So I'm going to go through a couple tips of how you can do that too. Now, what I'm going to challenge you to do, and the one tip is not just to understand that things might be difficult, especially things that are important to you, that you want to see measurable progress, but you need to go after doing the difficult things that's going to help you make progress. So consider this: athletes or business people or philanthropists, they go after things that are difficult. Things don't typically fall into their lap. So the tip is to try something challenging, try something hard, especially in something that is important to you. And there's a couple ways and a couple tips I can give you to help you be more successful. So the first tip is, when you go after something difficult, that means maybe a position at work that you might think is a stretch, or working towards a project that might be a stretch, or maybe even having a difficult conversation. Anything that's difficult, I'm encouraging you to go after it. Here's a couple tips that might be helpful. First, figure out why it's important to you. In order for us to try something hard and next level what's important to us, we have to connect it to a purpose, a sense of necessity. So figure out what it is and why it's important to you. For example, and this is kind of a big thing, not all of my things that are hard are necessarily this big. It might be a run in the morning, but for this one thing for me that's hard, that's coming up as kind of a longer term project, is that I'm going to help 10,000 women to be mentally tough by the end of 2018, so by the end of next year. And that is going to be hard. And I've made measurable progress, but I know that it's going to happen. And sometimes I run into stumbling blocks. In other words, there are certain companies that say, I've gotten a lot of green flags, but they're not all yeses. So for example, I'm trying to get into Oracle to speak to their women in leadership. I've had amazing opportunities at other companies. That's one company that I'm finding little resistance in, and so that's frustrating. That's hard for me. But what I'm doing is I'm going back and evaluating my message. I'm not doubting my message, but I'm evaluating my delivery. So I know that it's going to be difficult. I'm at peace with it, but I'm committed to doing it, even though it's hard, if that makes any sense. Now, the second thing to do is to get accountable. So whenever you're doing something difficult, assuming you've connected to the purpose or why it's important to you, you need to get accountable at first to someone else, preferably someone who has done what you have already accomplished, or kind of that's more of an expert than you are. This is all based on the research of Dr. Anders Ericsson, who wrote the book Peak, the science of the newfound science of expertise. And so what he says is it's very important for you to find an expert, someone who's done something, someone like a coach that can coach you through it. That's what I do for a living. It doesn't have to be me. It can be really anyone who you feel comfortable with, and someone who's going to collaborate with you, push you, and also be able to offer you some sound advice. And then you have to be able to do that and also go outside your comfort zone. So connect the thing that you want to do with a sense of purpose. Why is it important to you? And then get accountable to someone else. And finally, celebrate the wins, no matter how big or how small. That's still a work in progress for me, but it's very important to celebrate the small wins along with the big wins, and celebrate the process, not necessarily the outcome. So I hope that makes sense. When you stumble, and not if you stumble, but when you stumble, then that's important to kind of neutralize those. And I take it one step further, and I've talked about this before, you actually have to use those setbacks, mistakes, failures, whatever you want to call them, and actually bring them close to you and use them as a superpower. Now, there's an entire video on that, so if that's an area you're interested to, I can refer you to a couple weeks prior in one of those blogs. But in summary, in order for you to next level what's important to you, you must figure out what is important to you and why. You must get accountable to someone else, preferably to someone who can coach you, collaborate with you, push you, and cheerlead you along the way, and offer you some sound advice, especially in the area where you want to go. And then finally, you need to celebrate the wins and understand that the setbacks might happen, and actually use those setbacks to learn from them and push forward. So I'm encouraging you today, in order to next level what's important to you, commit to doing something hard. Run further, jump higher, try a hobby that's difficult, go after something at work that you think might be a stretch. Just commit to doing something hard. Get a little help along the way. I am here to support you any way I can. Please do reach out to me if I can answer any questions. I look forward to seeing you next time.